Added a little bit, 99 on.
How are we doing? Welcome back. Welcome back to Baseball Scoops. I am your host, Tommy. It is the offseason. It is the offseason here at Baseball Scoops for MLB. Players getting posted. It's now free agency's up in swing, and winter is coming, as they say. So really what I'm going to do for just in general for the next two episodes is I'm going to dive into just free agency predictions. I'm going to have a pitcher's one and a hitter's one. This is the pitcher's episode. This is for the pitchers only. I don't dive into everybody. Like I don't get into the Steven Matzes and all like those like lower end guys, even though I thought Steven Matz was very good for the Boston Red Sox. But what I do get into is the main pieces, the main headliners. Where are these guys going to go? Who might value them? What does that look like? I'm going to go player by player. I'm going to talk about where I predict they will go and why I think that's the team they will go to. So I'm going to start with the rotation. And I'll work my way a little bit into the bullpen. There's a few bullpen arms that are really, really good. But I do want to start with Dylan Cease, who, in my opinion, my honest opinion, if I had to rank the best pitchers on the open market right now, I'm putting Dylan Cease first. I am putting Dylan Cease ahead of Framber Valdez. I'm putting him again up against Michael King, all that good stuff. I am doing that. But he had a pretty up and down year this year. The FIP was a lot lower than the ERA, which is encouraging at least, but a 4.55 ERA, pretty similar to his 2023, where in 2023, he pretty much had a 4.58 ERA with a 1.42 WHIP, still had 200 strikeouts, but the ERA was there. This is a guy who's guaranteed to make 30 starts. He's made 30 starts in each of the last 3 years. Had a really, really, really nice year in 2024. Super nice year. 3.47 ERA, a 1.07 WHIP. Everything was much, much better for him as a whole. But this year he struggled a little bit. I mean, the strikeout rate was still there. He was still 95th percentile in whiff rate, 89th percentile in K rate. So you do have those elements to his game still, but the walks were a huge problem where he kind of cut those down a lot. In 2024, skyrocketed back up to 9.8. Not ideal nearly at all when it comes to his arsenal. I mean, nothing staggering other than the slider. Slider did get hit a lot more this year than last year, where last year it was only $159. And right now this year it was 228. Same with the knuckle curve. Like his secondaries definitely got tagged a lot more than they did last year. Whiff rates were still there. I thought the whiff rates were still pretty evident in his game. Some of them did take a little bit of a dive downward, but nothing staggering for Dylan Cease. Like I thought he had a very up and down year, but I think there's a lot of things that you can like and value about his game. He's going to give you innings. He's going to give you the starts. Just depends what you're going to get. Home run wise, he definitely gave up a lot more this year than he did last year, which isn't great, but still a guy that is going to probably give you 200 plus strikeouts. The stuff is there. I think his stuff is good. I think his stuff does play well. He really does rely on two pitchers. It's that four seam slider combination. Pitch usage wise, like very similar to last year where the knuckle curve was thrown the same this year compared to last year at 252. The sinker was thrown a lot more this year than last year, so that's nice that he dipped into that repertoire. Only threw it 2 times last year. Threw it 152. That was his 4th most thrown pitch. Will mix in the sweeper and changeup. He did get rid of his cutter. He did not throw the cutter this year. But he does have good things. He does have really nice things that he does do that's worth having. Now, I will preface by saying I do not believe that there is anybody in this class that is a bona fide ace. I don't think you're getting aces. I do think you're getting frontline starters. I do think a lot of these guys profile possibly as a number 2, definitely a number 3, and in some cases number 4. I think it just all depends who values that deal. I think he's going to go to the Mets. The Mets are desperate for pitching. You saw a lot of things that did work in 2024 did not work out. They didn't have Luis Severino. Sean Manaea was hurt, came back, wasn't great. Eventually got demoted to the bullpen. Kodai Senga had a really, really, really nice start to the year. His mechanics kind of fell off, so they sent him down to AAA to work on those mechanics. They relied on 3 rookies to carry them the rest of the way, which is nothing wrong with them. I think they all have enormous upside. Nolan McLean should get the ball on opening day. No questions asked. Should get the ball opening day. Then you look at Brandon Sproat, really good, probably profiles more as a number 4. Do like Jonah Tong, looks very Tim Lincecum-like with his release. But they need a frontline starter. They need a frontline starter badly. You get somebody to kind of combine with Nolan McLean, you're in pretty decent shape, but they have to address that rotation. And I will get to it eventually. But they're eventually going to have to fix their bullpen too. 2 guys that they had, at the back of their bullpen are free agents. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Helsley was great for them. He wasn't, but he's a free agent, and Edwin Diaz opted out. So that just kind of is what it is. I do think he's going to go to the Mets. I think Steve Cohen knows, he can't exactly go into the year with the pitching that they do have. You need to get pitching. And you kind of saw in the postseason how important that depth is at the position for pitchers. Enormous depth. And then you see some teams that didn't have enough depth, like you saw the Brewers. It kind of caught up to them a little bit. It just depends, right? It just depends. But I do think that Dylan Cease is a member of the Mets. I do. And these graphics I did make, they're not insane graphic design graphics, but they will be on my Twitter, which you can find literally on the StreamYard. It's at TJBennett37. But it's just charts. I'm probably going to start doing more charts. I'm kind of excited. It's something to play with. Sometimes a good visual is better than a bunch of words. My second one is Michael King. I think Michael King stays with the Padres. I know he opted out. I don't really blame him for trying to maximize his value. His first year as a starter, he made 30 starts, 201 strikeouts, a 119 whip, a 295 ERA. He was fantastic. Looking at just his underlying stuff, like the walk rate. You don't love the walk rate, but you did love his strikeout rate. His strikeout rates normally range anywhere from the high 20s. He topped out at 33.2% in 2022, but that was more as a reliever. 2024 was his first true year as a starter when he made that jump. Knew he could do it, proved that he could do it. You certainly do love to see it. I'm a big Michael King fan. Watching him pitch, it's really, really fun. Michael King is a phenomenal talent. I'm glad he got his shot. This is a guy who was virtually untouchable in 2024. The only pitch that he had that saw a batting average above 250 was his 4-seamer, and that was his 3rd most thrown pitch. Slider did get tagged at 281, but you fast forward to 2025, and it's hard to really pinpoint his whole year because it was derailed by injuries and he never found any rhythm. And then when he came back, he was on the shelf again. I think he just stays. I think he at least goes into that year, maybe figures out the right money and stays put because honestly, that Padres rotation needs him. They're walking into a year. No, Yu Darvish. He's done for the entire year. And then you have, I guess, Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove. That rotation needs help in the worst way possible. So if they lose both King and Cease, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow because I don't think you can swallow that pill if you're the Padres. I think their offense needs some work too. They definitely need power. We'll get to that in the hitters episode. But their pitching can't take that type of hit. But he just had he did have kind of a down year. The sinker got hit a little bit more. The slugging was down, which is great, but his fastball got clobbered this year. 814 slugging against, 349 average against. Like, it wasn't great. The whiff rates were still there. He had his put away pitches, pretty spread out, but tough year for Michael King. Couldn't get through the injuries. I was shocked that he declined his portion, but I guess like if you think you can make more money on the open market, I don't blame you. I just wonder what that looks like. I think he profiles more as maybe a number 3. He is a pitcher that I would like the Red Sox to covet. I just don't know what that looks like. Don't know what that looks like at all. The biggest one for me, and I want the Red Sox as a Red Sox fan, I preface this, which I am going to kind of do because that is my team. That is who I cheer for. You do see the Diamondback. I did a little rearranging for the backdrop. Diamondbacks are my NL team. I want neither of them to take Framber Valdez. And I think Framber Valdez, truthfully, has been the definition of consistency. The guy legitimately he very rarely has he had a bad year. Like, you look at his overall stuff, just in general, like his numbers, what he's put up, like not touching the expected stuff. Like, at this point, the year is done. We are through it. The results are the results, right? So you look at just his career. He's been the definition of consistency. His worst year was 2019, where he made 8 starts, and it was a 5.86 ERA. Nothing was good. Okay, but you fast forward, and from 2020 to 2025, he hit 20, and that was this season. But you're talking about a guy who had a 2.82 ERA in 2022 and a 2.91 in 2024. He's gonna give you the strikeouts. I think he's done a better job since 2022, really dialing it in. But this is a guy who's gonna give you the starts. He's had 31 starts in 3 of the last 4 years. Truly the definition of consistency. The issue with him are a few things. One, for me, it's the walk rates. The walk rates have just never been great. I mean, he's gotten better as his career's kind of gone on, but his walk rate basically doubled not doubled, but basically is a point higher from last year. Last year was 7.8, and this year was 8.5, which is not great. I mean, you look at it, 40th percentile walk rate. You don't love that. Then you kind of fast forward to his K rates, and the K rates aren't just staggeringly high. You've seen a significant drop from 2023 to 2025, going from 24.8 to just 23.3 last year. Hard hit rate, he gives a lot of hard contact. That's a guy that ranked in the 9th percentile for hard hit rate this past year. Not ideal. Before that, it was bottom 6%, and each of the last 2 years. Not ideal. A lot of hard contact. He does keep the ball on the ground. He's a ground ball pitcher, 97th percentile. You kind of love to see it, I guess, if you're a good defensive infield. Teams that have really good defensive infields probably would appreciate that. Basically just make plays on the ball. Like, I could see like the Chicago Cubs, they have a very good defensive infield with Nico Horner, and Matt Shaw looked really comfortable over at third base, and Dansby Swanson at shortstop. Like, they have a good infield. Blue Jays, I'm not saying the Blue Jays should give Framber a big deal. They kind of don't need him at the front of their rotation, but a team like that, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, overall, and he was a tale of 2 different seasons for him. Like, you look at his first half, it was a 2.75 ERA with a 3.07 FIP, a 2.13 average against, and a 1.12 WHIP. Second half, a 5.20 ERA, a 3.90 FIP. His command was off. The strikeouts were down. The walks remained the same. 3.24 BABIP. He plunked his catcher, and that, I think, kind of sunk the season. But you look at his arsenal, and I'm doing more of a deeper dive into him just because this piqued my interest. I think Dylan Cease is who he is. He kind of was the whole way through. Michael King had his injuries. This was a tale of two different stories. But you look at the Stuff Plus models on Fangraphs, 107 Stuff Plus, 103 Location Plus, 112 Pitching Plus. I mean, his stuff wasn't horrible. The stuff for his fastball, 84. Stuff for his sinker was 93. It's not horrible, but it's the location that changed for me. So as I said, the location was a 103. We fast forward to after the All-Star break, and that's where things kind of changed. His location was way off and his command was way off, and all those numbers kind of point to that, where his location plus went down to 94, which is not great. And it was on all of his pitches, sadly. So he was a tale of two different stories for me. Do I like Framber Valdez? Sure. Do I want either of my teams signing him? Preferably no. And I don't really, and I know the Red Sox needed number 2, but I don't think that would be the best way to allocate the money for a number 2, especially with the other needs that they have. And I don't know if the Diamondbacks are going to go ahead and pay the premium for a pitcher after they just did that last year and then he had Tommy John. So I don't know what they do, but the Diamondbacks have also said too, according to I believe it's Steven Gilbert. I believe that's the gentleman's name. Yep, Steve Gilbert, that the Diamondbacks are willing to deal prospects to go ahead and land a pitcher. So there's a lot of players available via trade. You have Hunter Green potentially, which Terry Francona kind of shut that down. I think a lot of that is more speculation than factually evident that he's going to get moved. But the team does need a bat, so if you can make a marriage work, it makes sense. But trading Hunter Green obviously makes them not a significantly worse team, but they're definitely taking a blow because he is their ace. And granted, they have enormous depth behind him, but still. But then you get to, there's Sandy Alcantara. Like, there is that. Like, there's guys out there. Joe Ryan, like Freddie Peralta, apparently. For whatever reason, the Brewers want to do that, which makes zero sense to me. But there is that out there. Like, there's plenty of guys that have enormous upside for a true number 2. Me personally, I think Framber Valdez goes to the Orioles because they need pitching. They need pitching badly. I think that's a team that needs a sure thing at the front of their rotation. I love what Rogers did. I loved what he turned into. I loved his story this year. But everything after them is extremely murky. And this was a concern last year when they lost Corbin Burns, did really nothing to address it. And yeah, they had Rogers emerge at the forefront. He kind of came through in a big way and he pitched really, really well. But if that didn't happen, that rotation is held together by absolutely nothing. And it's not great. It's not really great at all. So I move on, and for the Diamondbacks, I think they bring both the guys that they had last year. And what I mean is they bring back Zach Gallen, and they go ahead and bring back Merrill Kelly. I think Merrill Kelly is as stable as they come as a veteran. I think he is a phenomenal pitcher. I thought he pitched really well for the Diamondbacks, and he pitched just as well for the Texas Rangers. Fortunately, the Rangers have literally zero offense. So with that being said, it obviously they didn't make the playoffs. But I think, like, for Gallen, I wonder what kind of deal he gets. This is the worst year of his professional career. This is a guy who literally under the hood, phenomenal, consistent pitcher. He's been phenomenal since he got brought over via trade. I love Gallen. I love what Zach Gallen can do. It brought me nothing but pain seeing him this way. But you can kind of tell some things were kind of under the hood a little bit in terms of, like, not traffic, but you could see some of the underlying things. Like this year, he had allowed more home runs this year as he did the last 2 years combined. The whip remained the same at a 1.26, so that's increased since 2022, which you don't love. But this is a guy who, in his tenure with the Diamondbacks, literally has had an ERA over 3 just a few times. And really, like a 3.47 is a very great ERA. And I think a 3.65 is still very good. But when you get a 4.83 ERA, that is alarmingly high. But he's a guy who's going to give you starts. He's had 30-plus starts in 3 of the last 4 years. I do think the strikeouts are there for Gallen. Definitely increased this year compared to last year. But him too, there are things that were definitely going wrong. And respect to Torey Lovullo, always had confidence in him. Always talked about he's too good of a pitcher to not figure it out. And he kind of figured it out. It was something he alluded to where Gallen was starting to throw more of his two-seam fastballs more. He was starting to utilize that more in his arsenal, and he was able to command it better, and he was able to have better results. So he did end the year on a stronger note. I don't know what kind of deal he gets on the open market. I don't really know what teams value him at. But this is a guy who's had a walk rate of above 8% the last 2 years, compared to just 5.6% in 2023. The ERA went up. The strikeout rate went way down, 21.5% compared to 25.1 last year. There's a lot of things under the hood that just weren't really great, that just didn't stand out. All of his metrics across the board are his baseball savant page is blue. That's a lot of what I reference towards. And his secondaries got knocked around quite a bit. Like his knuckle curve, which last year was a very dominant pitch, 148 average against, was 219. And hitters hit just 2 home runs off them last year. He had 9 home runs this year off the knuckle curve. Wasn't great. Changeup was still fine. But he was able to dial that in more. Last year, that thing got knocked around quite a bit. The slider had a little bit of an improvement, which is good. But yeah, it was a struggle for Gallen across the board. But he ended the year strong. I think he goes back to the Diamondbacks. I think for certainty, I think they bring back Merrill Kelly. I could see Merrill Kelly going to a bunch of different places because he's a veteran that can still pitch. He can give you innings, good quality starts. Don't know exactly what that means for him in terms of like what he wants, but he could go to the Astros. They need rotation help. I think he could go to the Padres. They need rotation help. And I don't think he's going to cost a lot. Like I think he can go to the Brewers. I also think he can go to the Braves. I think the Braves would be a really nice spot for Merrill Kelly. Just good, serviceable, reliable depth. That's kind of how I see it for Merrill Kelly, but I do think the Diamondbacks find a way to bring him back. It was just good business to trade him, and they got a really good return for Merrill Kelly. So there is that part of it too, which I am pretty excited about. Shota Imanaga, that was probably the surprise of the opt-outs. He declined his portion, then the Cubs declined theirs, and now he's a free agent. But you did see some things like the whip was phenomenal. I mean, the whip went down to 0.99. Fastball run value was horrendous. Last year it was good in the 68th percentile, where this year it was just the 11th. So not great, but breaking run value, phenomenal, 90th percentile for that and off speed. But he logged 144 innings, 3.73 ERA. Still made 25 starts. I mean, he made 29 last year. The strikeouts went way down this year, but the walk rate, phenomenal. Excellent command, 4.6% walk rate. So there is that. But he does give up a lot of hard contact, doesn't keep the ball on the ground, gets barreled to death. Fastball velo is not there. Wasn't really there last year. It was 91.5. This year it's 90.8. So the hard hit, the average exit velocity, not the greatest recipe for success. But I think there's a lot here. I think it just comes down to durability. I think it just comes down to that because across the board, I thought he actually had a decent season. You just don't love the hard contact. The K rate went down. The walk rate is still excellent. It kind of depends. It really does depend. At what teams kind of see him as. Like, I don't think he profiles as a top of the rotation type of guy. I think he could easily be like a number 3, maybe a number 4. I mean, he could definitely give you good depth. But yeah, it's just that velocity, that pitching velocity. The velocity being down is rough. That's just, you don't typically want to see that. And that's what happened. I think the injuries definitely didn't help him either. But yeah, you saw like the velocity kind of take a dive from this year and last year. Like the curveball lost some velocity, the changeup, he didn't even throw that this year. The cutter he didn't throw either. I mean, he definitely changed up his arsenal a little bit, but yeah, losing that velocity. The command is still there, but you're getting knocked around quite a bit. I'm curious. I think he goes to the Dodgers, though. I do. I think he goes to the Dodgers. I think that is a team that does need now like a number 4. I know there's that report out there that they're going to be aggressive. The Dodgers are going to go get or be in on Tarek Skubal. The interest is going to be there with like Kyle Tucker. Do they go get those guys, though? I don't know. But it is very possible that they do land Shota Imanaga. I don't think it's something that could cost a lot. There was a report, too, that the Cubs do think that they could allocate that same money that they would have owed to Shota to something a little bit better. And you know what? I respect that if you're the Cubs, but now you have to do that. Because that rotation, like, sure, Justin Steele should be coming back. Curious what that even looks like because he missed a large portion of 2024 as well, and he missed 2025. And then you get Cade Horton, who very well could be winning NL Rookie of the Year. And after that, it's kind of whatever. Like Colin Ray, nice story. He's coming back. Matthew Boyd, hell of a signing there. But you need more upside at the front of it. You just do. So I'd like to see them make a play for Cease. I'd like to see them make a play for King. I don't think they spend the money on Valdez, but the Cubs are going to be quite the story. Quite the story. And then the last starter that I'll probably go deep on, I mean, just to rattle some other starters off, actually the other one I do. Like Brandon Woodruff, I think he goes to the Braves. I don't think he goes back to the Diamondback. I think he goes to the Braves. And the other one that I'm very intrigued by actually is Ranger Suarez. Like, where does he go? Like, what does he do? Problem with him is his stuff across the board is phenomenal. Like his stuff is great. He pitches like not like an ace, but he pitches like a solid frontline starter. But I mean, he's going to give you at least 150 innings. That's what he's done the last 2 years. The strikeouts, not bad. He had 150 this year, but his K percentage is 55th percentile. Whiff rate, he doesn't really generate the swing and miss. Can get batters to chase. Doesn't get hit hard. Can keep the ball on the ground. He's got really good command. Problem is his fastball velocity was 90.5, which is 7th percentile. So this is like Shota, but with better metrics under the hood. A team that I genuinely predicted him to go to is the Blue Jays. I think just you can maybe put him as a number 3 and slide Bieber down to number 4 and just give that rotation just enormous depth because let's face it, Kevin Gausman's your ace and Trey Savage is right behind him. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Just is what it is. So there is that. I think there's just a lot of stuff under the hood that's good. He doesn't give up hard contact. Command is there. The strikeouts, it's not at an all-time high, but he's a good pitcher. Good, reliable, durable pitcher. And but yeah, Woodruff I think goes to the Braves. Kind of similar to Merrill Kelly, like good pitcher. Injuries have kind of plagued him quite a bit. I think he kind of change his course. I'm going to circle around on some bullpen arms. I'm going to go on those first. And then I'm going to go to probably the pitcher that I think the baseball world needs to know about because now it's official. So I'm trying to find my article that I can kind of reference from the Substack. So, all right, Edwin Diaz opted out. So the Mets have their concerns. They have their things they got to work out, right? The Mets need to legitimately get a starter, and they need to fix their bullpen. Him opting out was interesting to me. I mean, this is a guy who brings elite velocity, great swing and miss ability, and he's reliable, and he's electric, and he's a dominant closer. He finished the year with a 1.63 ERA and 0.87 WHIP. Mean velocity with the fastball, 99th percentile for whiff rate and strikeout rate. Gets batters to chase. He's a dominant, high leverage back end reliever. Like, that's a guy you can rely on in the back end. And he has notched 20 or more saves in the last 4 years. And he had 32 saves between 21 and 22 each. So that's phenomenal. People, sound off, do what you got to do. He's going to the Dodgers. If he doesn't go to the Mets, he's going to the Dodgers because the Dodgers bullpen is a disaster. Do they want to keep Roki Sasaki in the bullpen? Probably not, right? Probably not. That was a gift. That's what you can do when it comes to the playoffs. That's just a very great avenue for postseason baseball is you can disperse your depth however you see fit. So they've already come out and said they're going for a high leverage back end arm. Yeah, they're going to make a run at Edwin Diaz because look, Tanner Scott can come in the 7th, he can come in the 8th, whatever, but that guy had the worst year of his career across the board. His pitches got clobbered, most home runs given up, most home runs allowed. His ERA was the highest of his career. His FIP was right neck and neck with his ERA. So he was pitching basically as he was as everything was expected to be. But yeah, I think they get Edwin Diaz. I think he becomes their closer. I think he delivers across the board for them, and that's something they need. They need just reliability. And you saw throughout the year, like Dave Roberts legitimately went ahead and kept using Tanner Scott. Like he wants to turn to a closer. He wants to turn to that guy. They still won the World Series. That's without Alex Vesia, and my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, with what they're going through. Missing him had impacts, but luckily they have enough arms that they can weather it. But they do need a closer, and Edwin Diaz fits that bill. Then you go to Robert Suarez, and Suarez. The Padres don't need Suarez. They have a ridiculous bullpen. Mason Miller is their closer of now the present and the future. But you also have Estrada, Morejon. Who else am I missing? Peralta, I think, is back there. Like, they just have a bunch of guys. They have a bunch of dudes they can rely on. They don't need Suarez. I mean, could they bring him back? Absolutely. Like, if you can pitcher, that bullpen was insanely good in the postseason. They just couldn't hit. If they really wanted to, they could have pitched their way to at least the CS if they got through. For sure. But they need starters and they need bats. But yeah, I don't think they bring Suarez back, but Suarez is a very proven commodity as a closer. He's a guy that can be put in high leverage situations. This is another guy too the Dodgers can turn to. He had a 184 average leverage index for the season, which is just displaying how high of leverage he can come into and perform and deliver, and that's what he did. Finished the year with a 3.38 ERA, which is phenomenal. But overall, really good pitcher, very good closer. I think he goes to the Arizona Diamondbacks because they need a closer in the worst way possible. AJ Puck had Tommy John, so did Justin Martinez. So they lost both their closers last year. The back of that bullpen probably costed them more games than you can imagine. And that's a team that almost found its way back into the postseason. Thankfully, their offense being as good as it is and can be. But that is a team that needs a closer. And Robert Suarez would be a perfect fit for them because if you get like Puck and Martinez back, that is a very good back of the bullpen. Reliability, and that's what this team needs. They need pitching. Like they have the offense. I think they have the personnel in place. No, I'm not entertaining a Ketel Marte trade. I really don't think that actually happens. I think that's and if they did that, then good Lord. Because I don't think that makes them any better because Ketel Marte is by far and away the best second baseman in baseball. Who is next on my docket? Sir Anthony Dominguez, I think, is a very interesting one. He had a really nice year, 3.16 ERA, 128 WHIP. He was really good with the Blue Jays. He was really good with the Orioles. Really reliable. Could definitely come in some high leverage spots. He could even be a seventh inning guy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't really know where he lands. If I'm being honest, I mean, I could see him going to like the Giants. I could even see him staying with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays aren't doing anything until they figure out the Bo Bichette thing. They're not touching a single thing. But I could see him going to the Giants, who maybe want some more upside in the closer role, or their back of the bullpen per se. So there is that. My most intriguing one, which I've told people, like I am the Red Sox won't do it, but I'm very, very, very in on Devin Williams. I think Devin Williams. I think Devin Williams does not go to the Red Sox, but I'd be very much entertained. I mean, you got to remember from 2020 to 2024, he never had an ERA above 2. Devin Williams, easily regarded as one of the best closers inside this decade, and he had the worst season of his career, a 4.79 ERA, but the FIP sat at 2.68. So there is that upside. Like Devin Williams did give up a ton of home runs. Like just the home runs were at an all-time high, a premium. Not ideal, just not ideal. But he still had 90 strikeouts. 97th percentile chase, 99th percentile whiff rate. K rate was 97th percentile. It's just he had horrible command. The walk rate was in the 20th percentile, but still like pretty solid. The fastball just got clobbered. There was just no command with that fastball at all. But he was top 3% of the MLB in terms of his strikeout rate. But yeah, his four-seamer lived at the top of the zone, but it got clobbered. 5 home run he didn't give up any home runs off that this year, but it all came off the changeup. So there is that. But just really, really bad. really, really like rough year. The whiff rates were still evident. The put away pitch was, his four-seamer was his best put away pitch at 28%. I would happily take him. I really would. The velo was still there. His changeup did lose a little bit of velo, but overall, like I'm gonna go ahead and I would take Devin Williams in a heartbeat. I just would. I think his year, like it wouldn't shock me if this was an outlier. It honest to God wouldn't. I got him going to the Texas Rangers. I think the Rangers, they do need bats, but I do think they need to fix up their bullpen a little bit. I think their pitching staff definitely needs some kind of revamp. And that's kind of how I feel. I think Ryan Helsley's going to go back to the Cardinals. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, and definitely not after the second half he just had. His second half was horrendous. His second half was horrible. His second half was like Jordan Hicks for the Red Sox, but with the Mets. A 7.20 ERA in the second half. His walk rates skyrocketed. The strikeouts came down. It was just a bad second half. But I do like Devin Williams. I think this year was an outlier. I think his metrics are better than what the results ended up being. I think he goes somewhere, and I think he lights it up. Luke Weaver's another one, kind of had like a Clay Holmes-esque type of downfall. Lost the closer role. There's a chance he can return back to the Yankees. There is the rumor that he does want to be a starter, so I find that to be very interesting. I have him going to the Kansas City Royals. I think that's a team that prides themselves on pitching, bolstering both sides, whether it's the bullpen, the rotation. They find ways to do that. And I do end up thinking that they go ahead and they'll go ahead and they will address that, and they'll give him a contract. There's a lot of other good bullpen arms out there. There's a lot of other good starters out there. I think the other starters out there, like Emilio Pagan, I think he stays with the Reds, but he had a career year, which is phenomenal to see. Kyle Finnegan, that's going to be interesting. Kenley Jansen's back out there. Chris Martin's back out there. Steven Matz. Caleb Ferguson, like that's another really nice one that's out there. So there are some good bullpen arms, but those are the main ones. And the last one I want to talk about is Tetsuya Imai. He is going to get posted. It is official. He is getting posted. That's going to be really, really fun. Him coming over from Japan. You got another Japanese pitcher. Really nice stuff from him. He had a 192 ERA and 089 whip. Command was on his side. His walk rates per 9 went down. His K rates were at 9.8%. 178 strikeouts in 163 innings and just 45 walks. Highest K percentage of the year. Fastball averages 95, but he also can see it top out at 98, 99, so that's great. Super, 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 super dialed in secondaries. His slider's great. Splitter is good, but he primarily throws it to lefties. I think this guy, he could get a really big contract. He can get anywhere from $80 million and be on like the lower end, kind of like the Shota Imanaga deal, or it's going to be like a $200 million contract. I think he falls somewhere in between. I think he gets like 130 for like 6 years. I think he goes to the Giants. I do. I think they do that bold thing where they go out and they make a move that maybe nobody expected, like Buster Posey's done his tenure. I mean, he gave Willy Adames the big contract, traded for Devers and acquired that money. Brought in Tony Vitello, which I do love that, by the way. I'm a big Tony Vitello fan, but they bring in him. Why not? They need upside in their rotation. Like after Logan Webb, it's very dicey. Like, yeah, you got Robbie Ray, which is fine, and like Landon Roop, like okay, and you're kind of hoping that Hayden Birdsong and Carson Whisenhunt can kind of develop into something. But that's a rotation that needs upside behind Logan Webb, who had a phenomenal season with the Giants. Phenomenal season. So there is that. I think he goes to the Giants. I do. I think they get his upside and they bring that in because they need it. They definitely need it. And I think this is like a year where they want to try and turn things around and right the ship. And I think that is a way to do it. There are some other really good starters out there. Those are the main ones, like Lucas Giolito's out there. There's a couple of other ones that are out there, but I highlighted the main ones because that's what it is. So that's it for this Baseball Scoops. Stay tuned for the hitters one because that one's going to be really, really, really fun as well. So as we always say,